Hi guys, welcome to the session on Coffee with Prab. And today we have a special guest, my friend Mr. Santhosh Kumar. He's also my past gladiator, cleared daughter certification on management, a perfect example of the offensive cybersecurity engineer with the management perspective. And we are here for understand about the hot topic, how to prepare for OSCP exam from zero. If you are a person who want to prepare for OSCP, you're looking for resources, what resource we should use, how to use resource, what technique and tactics. This guy, this guy know that. Okay. So I hooked him in this particular video to make sure we can have a best use of this particular resource to understand from zero how to prepare for OSCP pen testing exam. Hi, Santhosh.
Hi Prab.
எப்படி
Uh,
இருக்கீங்க?
நல்லா இருக்கேன் Prab.
So good to
Yeah.
see you. Congratulations for back-to-back century in CISSP season.
Thank you Prab. It's all your training
No, it's
and
your hard work, no doubt.
yeah. So your guidance too helped me,
Uh,
and I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to share the other side of my story. I changed that entire thought process for CSSP and CSM, but now we kind of take a step back and we kind of think from an engineer perspective, from a technical perspective. So what is the thing? So a quick background to all your viewers. So I did my OSCP in 2018. I did my OSC in 2018. That is another 5 months from OSCP. I worked totally somewhere 6 to 7 months, and those were the days I slept barely three hours or 4 hours a day because I've been on the labs I've been trying to do, and I did my OSWE somewhere around at the end of 2021, that's starting of 2022, and I've been associated with OPSEC. I mean, I've been a Patreon for OPSEC for like last 5 to 6 years, and so couple of background. So OSCP, when it started, when I did, it was we did not have this much of an information. We had a mail come in, we had the lab started, we were given a PDF, we were given a video, and
hmm.
we were given lab access with a VPN, and you go ahead and you do whatever you want, however you want to have a structured learning or an unstructured learning, or you just go a big bang approach and you try to complete the lab. So that was the case in the previous lab. So
Hmm.
the motto was just try harder, and that is what actually kept me going. And right now we have a very structured approach. We have the portal. The OPSEC came up with the portal, and we there is a there is a structured videos, there is a PDF, and there is also exercises. Try your own exercises. So the first recommendation that I could suggest is get the 90 days lab. So it is a very, very valuable suggestion that I got from the folks who have already completed and from my own personal experience.
But Santosh,
If
here I want to interrupt one thing.
Yeah,
See, uh, okay, I'm going for the 90 days labs, okay,
yeah.
where I'm going to test my things and all that. So when you are preparing for the OSCP, prior to your 90 lab subscriptions and all that, my simple question is, were you aware about pen testing?
Yes. So basically, when I did, that was 2 years into my career. So I was part of one of a big four company, and I was doing pen testing consulting. So basically, that's black box DAS based pen testing, and I was also doing a bit of infrastructure pen testing as well. And this is where was my starting base.
हाँ,
So
तो यहाँ this is basically I want to start. So example
yeah,
like because this video is basically watched by those viewers who
yeah,
who actually want to start journey in pen testing, suppose.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you already doing from 2 years pen testing, and then that's why you
Yes,
basically went for 90 days subscription. Now just
yes.
imagine, I'm sure those who watching this video they can able to relate this better. I'm a person. Okay, I did my security plus. I did my security certification. Okay, security plus certification. I got a
Yeah,
basic understanding about
yeah. Security.
ethical hacking, security, and all that.
Yeah,
And I did some vendor certification, CH, and I have an understanding of ethical hacking. Example.
yeah, yeah.
Now, I don't have a scripting knowledge. I don't have a programming knowledge. I don't have a Python, Perl, Python. I want to start OSCP. Okay, before
Yeah.
we start OSCP or before we enroll in that 90-day subscription, do I need to do any homework?
Yes, and that is pretty much important. Thank you, Prab, for covering this. So what I'll tell you from a very basic background, OSCP is not an advanced certification, like not how people portray it to be a very advanced certification. It is an entry level certification from OPSEC. So if you look at the other things, what I did, they were far more advanced. So this is a very entry level certification. And what does OSCP assumes it to do is you have a basic scripting knowledge. So either one single language, either you have a Python knowledge where you
Hmm.
need to write some automation or you need to write some scripts, and you have a bash knowledge, you have a bash scripting knowledge.
Hmm.
And the third thing what OSCP assumes is that you are able to read the code, you are able to read the exploit code. And because in OSCP you are not going to do any exploit development, nothing comes out of an exploit development. You're gonna have a already known exploit that has been put on exploit DB, or
Hmm.
it's put on GitHub or anywhere, and you're
Hmm.
gonna take that exploit and you're gonna do a very minor tweak modification for your environment. So that is the type of skill which actually OSCP infringes on your mind to
Hmm.
think from an hacker mindset, to think from an advisory mindset. And for this, I would recommend having a basic understanding of languages. So the first thing is you need to have a at least a codable level of language writing skills or programming skills for Python or
Hmm.
Bash. So these are the two things which I could feel these are 100% needed, because you write a lot of things on Bash, you write a lot of things on on Python. And also with the current changes that has actually happened, it is a lot better that if you have a working experience of PowerShell. So this is for Windows. So 2022, somewhere in 2022 and 20, so they made a changes where they brought in a lot of Active Directory stuff. So for this you need to use certain tools. I'll come back to that later part of the show when we discuss that. But certain set of tools, where it is all written in PowerShell, and these are old tools, these are known tools for Active Directory. So we when you need to use those tools, you need to know understand actually what the tool actually does. So that
Hmm.
is where it gives you a benefit, because when you're trying to attempt or when you're trying to attack a machine,
Hmm.
and you need to really understand what your exploit does. So if you're just gonna go take the partial script, fire it off, and I'm gonna get a shell, no, that does not work in that way. You really need to understand what is actually going on. So with respect to programming, I could say these three are very valuable. And other than that, you can have a working knowledge of PHP, or you can have working knowledge of Perl, and some of these languages which you read the exploit and you kind of understand. But that can be done on the flow. I mean, you do not need to specifically sit for a programming language. You need to understand these programming language, and then you kind of do it. But these three are important.
But Santosh,
Uh,
my question is basically like, talking Perl, Python, whatever the language is required,
yes.
PowerShell scripting is
Yeah.
required. Suppose I'm a kind of person who came from background who have a zero experience on the programming.
Yeah.
My background was arts, my background was accounts, my
Yeah.
graduation was in accounts, and pen testing is something is my interesting career.
Okay.
I have a fund issues and all that,
Okay.
funding and all that. So what is the level of programming is required? So is like during a preparation of OSCP exam, we can create a custom notes where we can just copy paste that scripts and we can able to execute. With that, can we able to enhance our practice? Or we really need to be, mastery in the scripts or whatever, PHP and all that. Can we create one predefined scripts, keep it in notepad whenever we need to run? Because as a human, if you see the tendency,
Yeah.
it is difficult to remember all the pointers and all that.
Yeah.
And thanks to Chat GPT and Google Bard, it also
Yeah.
already spoiled the creativity.
Yeah.
So my point here is that when I'm going for the exam or when I'm preparing for the OACP, is it really required to be a champ, a rock mastery in the Python, Perl, and all that? Or
No,
do you
I
have
would
any
not.
videos, resource, and all that? Yeah.
No, I would not suggest. So I'll tell you how I did. So basically, I went really old school. So I basically went through the Python programming. I did an intermediate level. I basically understand what's functions, what is what are classes, and all these other things. So basically, programming expressions and Python expressions and all these other things. So I basically went through a normal programming video. So
Hmm.
I spent somewhere 2 to 3 weeks before the exam, because that is again, I've been doing that as a part of my day-to-day job. But if
Hmm.
people want to get somewhere from a totally from a different background, they need to really spend 2 to 3 weeks on learning this basic programming. Because if I don't know anything, I don't know zero percentage of what how Python is, I it looks like Greek and Latin to me. And then
Hmm.
it becomes really hard when you start doing the labs, and when you
Hmm.
start. So the first basic thing is, I would suggest spend 2 to 3 weeks on a programming. So these three languages, or these three programming methods, so where you actually spend 2 to 3 weeks on in these, and you understand the basic. I mean, at least to create a skeleton structure, as you have
Hmm.
said.
Hmm.
So creating a skeleton structure really helps you,
Hmm.
because you can actually keep you can keep adding whatever the task that you want to do, you can keep adding, you can keep editing that, and then you
Hmm.
can start doing the labs. But since you mentioned chat gpt, offensive security is way against chat gpt. So they do not recommend you using chat gpt or any ai tools during this thing. They want to go old school. They want you to google, they want you to go and read through the links and read through the this thing, and then they want you to progress it manually instead of
Hmm.
ChatGPT. But this is what I did. So basically, I kind of read through the programming, I kind of understood the programming, then I started creating the skeleton structures. I have this in mind. And one important thing, Prab, again, I wanted to stress this part: taking notes. So taking notes is what actually helped me pass the entire exam. I mean, all the
What
three
do you mean
exams.
notes? What do you mean notes here? Like.
So when I say notes, so I kind of like I read through a lot of stuffs when I'm going through the course material, as well as I go through the labs. So for example, if you are kind of attacking a mission, and before that, I'll give you the whole structure of how
Hmm.
OSCP labs are. So basically, you have the first, when you try to register for the course. So basically, you do not pay like other, like CSSP or CSM. You do not pay for the exam. You
Hmm.
pay for the course. So
Hmm.
basically, what happens is, as a part of your course fee, your exam fees are included. So you get the videos, and you get the exercise, subsequent exercise. Those will be little straightforward. So unless you understand those concepts, you cannot actually proceed. So it will be a very straightforward this thing. So what I did is, so I actually had three type of notes. So one is the prerequisite. So when I was before the OSCP preparation, I had the programming, what and all things that I need in these three
Hmm.
areas. So I took the notes of those areas. Then I understood the basic security concepts. So for example, web application attacks, privilege escalation, all this thing, what and all, I went through the OSCP syllabus, and then I understood these concepts from internet sources. So multiple from internet sources. And then then I when I registered for the exam, and that's where I started taking the OSCP notes itself. So that OSCP notes, for example, the lab has like four subnets. So one is the public subnet, and one is the IT subnet, and one is the developer subnet, and one is the admin subnet. So these are the four subnets, and the total lab machines are somewhere around 60 plus.
Okay.
So 60 plus, and this labs test all kinds of concepts that you see on the syllabus, or you see on the content. So the first point is, you understand the content properly. You understand the content properly, and then you do the exercise properly. And I started taking notes for each and every content. So first thing is, if for example, if you're doing a client side exploitation, I started taking what is client side exploitation, just a less, just like a pseudo notes, where you take when you kind of note it down. So I was either you can use Google Notes or OneNote, or if you can afford, you have Dradis Pro. So you can take you can take you can use these type of tools to leverage, and you start taking notes. So the reason why you start taking notes is that you kind of once you're done with the lab, so you're gonna see 60 to 70 missions. So it is not it is not a human tendency to remember the entire 60 to 70 missions out of your mind. And there might be a lot of missions, in exam which will have a very similar methodology of how you try to attempt the lab.
Okay.
And statistics from offensive security says that if you do more than 50 missions in your lab, you have an 85% chance of clearing the exam. So labs play a very, very great role. I could say 80 to 85% role in helping you clearing your OSCP exam. So that is, that is the point which I like to stress, because taking notes. So what I did is, so each and every, there is a subnet. So there is 10.11 subnet, which is the public subnet. So these are, again, these are non-public informations. This is there in the web, so I'm not gonna do any spoiler for the exam. So these subnets are, I kind of put these subnets on at this mission, and then I started taking notes for each and everything. So how I did an initial recon. So recon is a very important thing. So you need to really do a proper recon. Example, if you're using Nmap, or if you're using Masscan, or whatever the tools
Yeah,
that you
so
want.
and I'm sorry to interrupt you here, Santosh. Like as you
Yeah,
said about in recon and all that, sorry for that. So
yeah,
as I said, you we have a Perl Python knowledge. We need to have a notes and all that. Now, as I said, the first step is Perl Python knowledge. We understood. Okay.
yeah.
Can I directly jump to the lab and subscribe for the course and all that, or do you have any suggestions for the people who watching this video who have a zero experience? Do some other videos in advance before you basically sign up for this program.
Yeah. So sure. What
Because
I
you
actually,
because you have spent your 2 years before OSCP in the
yeah,
offensive security. Not
yeah.
everyone have a same kind of a leverage or same kind of an opportunity.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So, I basically, how I did is, so way before I joined the company itself, where before I was in college, or I was just being just lurking around. So what I did is I
Arjun
started
Reddy.
going, yeah. So yeah, so what I did is I basically went through. I started doing these hack the boxes. So that's where I got into this entire OSCP kind of a mindset. So this offensive mindset. So main point is you get the offensive mindset. You kind of know the concepts of it. So first thing is I did the ports figure. So right now there are a lot of resources. So you can do the ports figure labs. They might or might not help because it's more of a web application based, but you get a kind of a knowledge on that. So I would suggest for Portugal Lab, do the easy and the medium ones, or the
Hmm,
intermediate ones.
hmm,
So these are enough. You do not need to do a hard ones or a critical one. So you need to do only the easy and the medium ones.
hmm,
You can, if you do not know the solution, if you do not understand the concept, Portswigger has the web application concept. So you
hmm,
kind of read through the the concepts, and then you can try to try to replicate the same thing on the labs. So there is a lab. It's a browser based lab. You can just pin those labs and you can try to replicate it. And within the labs itself, that you have the solution. So either people can see the solution, the viewers can see the solution, and then they can try to recreate it. In that recreation process, it is very fairly important that you do not just blindly go copy paste all this thing. You really need to understand, like for example, if you're exploiting an XSS lab, so you're trying to understand what XSS is. So you kind of have to understand why we are giving that, what is the sanitation that is not actually happening, why it is actually behaving it in this way. And this is for web application side, and the other side is for privilege escalation or infrastructure side. There is a blog called Hacktricks. So this is the one which I still use till now if I want to do hack the box. And Hacktricks is like the one head go, where you have vectors for each and every for example, if you are using privilege escalation, juicy potato or something. So they have the entire set of steps. So what and all the attack vectors or what and all payloads that you need to use. So I would suggest to go through this both hack tricks and both figure, and then once you are done with this thing, this could give you a overall concept of what and all it is there. What are the possible privilege escalation? At least an overall picture, I could say with 30 to 40% of overall picture. And then I could suggest to go to hack the box. So hack
Hmm.
the box, it is a vulnerable lab, it's a vulnerable lab playground. And I could suggest to get a VIP. So VIP is somewhere around $10. So it's $10 per month. It's not that expensive.
Yeah.
It's somewhere 850 rupees or so. And once you get the VIP, you can go start playing some of these retired missions. So retired hack the box missions. So you could try to focus on the easy and the medium boxes. So
Hmm.
the reason why I tell to do this is that easy missions will help you give that easy level of machines in the lab. So it is the reason is we have it's a little bit of an insider information that we have OPSEC student administrators also being part of Hack the Box team or Hack the Box community. So they kind of make a lot of similar boxes like how it is. So we have a lot of OPSEC people also in Hack the Box. So they have a very similar mission. That's the reason like people tell to go with Hack the Box and all these things. So this point is that you kind of record you kind of understand the mission. You kind of understand the thought process of how to attack a mission. You just have the IP address, but first is you need to enumerate. So how do you enumerate? How do you take the knowledges that you learn from hack tricks and other things and apply it here? So that is where the hack the box will help you. And hack the box does have a lot of these retire missions have their own official write-ups from the mission creators themselves. And if you get stuck somewhere, you can go see the write-up, and you can try to see where you go wrong, and you try to learn some new concepts. So there are a couple of machines. Maybe I can share that link to you perhaps somewhere after the recording. So there is a 20 to 25 missions which I would recommend to go through these to go through these missions. These are
Hmm.
retired missions,
Hmm.
easy and medium boxes. So once you have done all that, so I would keep the entire pre-preparation to be a month before you start the entire lab. So if the person is working, or if they are a working professional, I would suggest at least spend 5 hours per day.
Okay.
If you want to complete the pre-preparation within 30 days and you want to start and you want to get OSCP as soon as possible, I could say keep 5 hours per day. And this 5 hours should not be another important thing. This is more of a human aspect, is that you do not spend the entire 5 hours at a time without taking any breaks, or without focusing the entire thing, because your brain loses. This is the mistake which I did. I've been giving this advice to people. This gives you a burnout. So pretty much you get burned out after working for 70-80 hours, like one of a gentleman that recently said in the interview. So you get easily burned out if you keep doing this at a time 5 hours. So I could say take notes, take a break, take a 10 to 15 minute break, when you're doing a pre-preparation. And this needs to go for the lab also. So lab also, when you're working for that 90 days. So I was able to complete the entire lab in 60 days, and I got burned out. And then I for another after I complete the lab for 15 days, I did not touch my computer at all. So that was the level of burnout, or that was the level of I could say a wrong way or wrong method that I did during
Hmm.
my preparation.
Hmm.
So it is better that you take a break. And this skill is what taking a break, and you kind of focusing on what each and everything. You kind of relearning what you already saw. And that is where I kind of learned in my previous. After OSCP, I did a lot of advanced certifications, and this skill actually helps. So if you really want to progress on the offensive security side, you wanna keep doing more certification. How you take breaks and how you try to
Hmm.
process that information is very, very important. So not a lot of people stresses this. The moment they get the lab, they jump right in and they start to do, they get burned out with 35 days, and then the entire preparation goes for a task. So it is ideally important that you do not over prepare, you do not over push yourself, and then in the exam you kind of be blank and you kind of got freaked out. And so post this hack the box, coming back to our discussion where people have post this entire 2025 missions has been done, and these 2025 missions, they kind of help you with the initial reconnaissance, how to exploit these known vulnerabilities, specific CVEs, and also how to edit those exploits. Like as I said before, we will be having an exploit, ready-made exploit that is already available, a public exploit, but you will need to edit it to work in certain aspects. So those skills are where these hack the box missions they actually train. And then post that, it also helps you a lot on active directory. So active directory exploitation, active directory penetration testing is something that offensive security has been giving more and more weightage to the syllabus, because
So
they kind of,
For AD, if I sorry to interrupt, when you talk about
yeah,
AD and all that,
yeah.
so do you have any resource that you recommend to the people who watching this video that okay, what is the level of knowledge we require from AD and how much is required?
So I kind of did something for AD. I kind of did something a little different.
Hmm.
So I kind of set up my own Active Directory mission in my own system. So I kind of built a vulnerable AD lab.
Hmm.
So I went to hack tricks. So kind of saw what and all attack vectors are there. For example, golden ticket, silver ticket, bypassing or abusing ACL permissions. So all these things, abusing MS Exchange. So what I did is I set up a own virtual lab in my own system. So I had my host machine and I had two VMs. So I put one domain controller on there and I connected both of these machines as a client. And then I used my own I used my Kali box as an attack machine, and I tried to get a leverage. So I tried to exploit these what and all the attack vectors that we see in Actrix. I tried to recreate that, but there is a lot of, I will share those links to you. There is a vulnerable AD setup, so you can either spin that AD setup directly in AWS or Azure, and that could give you attack vectors, or that could give you attack scenarios on how to have your own vulnerable AD installations, and then you can start directly attacking itself. So this is an open source project, so I will share those links there. And it is a Terraform code. So basically you just have your AWS account or you have your Azure account, and you can spin this thing you once you run this Terraform code. So those labs nowadays they help, but I went with the old school because I wanted to understand how it's been vulnerably set up, and also how does it actually understand. If people have time, they can go with the setup, because that is where I do it. Or an easier way could be OPSEC itself gives you a vulnerable, when you subscribe for the lab, they give
Hmm.
you a vulnerable, as a part of your curriculum itself, they give you a vulnerable mission. This is alpha mission is what they call. And this alpha mission is something which they give you a vulnerable AD. So
Okay.
either you can start doing that before you start doing the lab, or you can set up your own mission, do it the hard way, which I did, or you can either use the scripts which is ready-madely available, and you can spin a vulnerable AD labs. The ultimate goal is that you kind of understand how AD attacks work. So first is how AD works, and how does AD attacks works. So this could help you in your labs as well as on your subsequent OSCP exam. Since we talk about AD, I would like to stress that AD is very important. So somewhere in 2022, they kind of did a whole change to the OSCP exam, and before, when I wrote the exam, it used to be 5 missions, and you have one. Again, this is all public information, I'm not spoiling. So there used to be one buffer overflow mission. It could be a very straightforward buffer overflow mission, and then you need to focus on the other 4 missions. So right now they have changed that, so it will be 3 standalone missions, and these 3 standalone missions, and then there is 3 missions which could be part of an AD. So it's ideally 6 missions, but it's considered as 5. And AD mission has 40 points, and the remaining one has the 30 points. So either you can so AD mission will have one AD, one domain controller, and will have 2 clients. And these 2 clients, you need to exploit all the, I mean, you need to get domain admin on the AD in the exam. They do not avoid any partial points. So it's either you get the domain admin and you compromise the domain controller, or you get 0 points. So that is how it is. So if people really want to clear the exam, this is a very important thing. So if you want to clear the exam, you either do the entire AD, and then you do one mission, and then in standalone mission you compromise one, either local access or root access, and then one mission you either compromise local access. In that way, and also you do the lab documentation. So OffSec also tells you that you need to do 10 missions for the lab and lab report. So once you complete all the entire lab and you do a lab report and you sell them, you give the 10 points. You get 10 points for the for the lab exam, and that 10 points with this combination you can clear. Or if you are doing AD, and if you are doing if you're getting one route, one entire mission, one standalone mission, out of 3 you get one standalone mission, and then you do the you do not touch the other missions at all, you do the lab report, then you pass. So there are multiple combination to it. Or if you're not doing the AD at all, if you are not been able to crack the AD at all, you have to clear all the 3 missions. So all the 3 standalone missions has to be routed with the lab report to pass. So
Okay.
these are the changes that you did. So I mean, previously on the old OPSEC lab, you need to do buffer overflow and you need to complete 4 missions. So in that way, you can actually crack. I mean, out of 5, you need to complete 4, and the fifth one can have just a local. If you are not able to get the root exploit, then it is fine. But now, with the preference to AD and preference to other, the way how exam format changes, and this aspect has to be really looked into. And so that is the reason AD has been important. I've been researching the AD because that's the way which OPSEC is also going. That's the path which OPSEC is also taking. So yeah, so this is what I could say.
And when you're talking about perspective about implementations and all that, suppose you basically started your journey in OSCP and all that. Okay.
Yeah.
So what is the approach you need to consider when you're preparing for this exam? What is the temperament? Example, like, okay, like if you take example of the CISSP or CISA, CSAM and all that, we say, okay, read the book, practice questions. So how to organize? That's the most important part. So how to organize and what is a do and don'ts?
Okay. So so let's assume that you have did the prerequisites. As I said, you have did the prerequisites. You have started the lab. So I would say first thing is you go through the videos. So there is a videos that is given, and there is a PDF that is given, and this is now been integrated into the OPSEC portal. So this portal will actually give you. When I did, we were given things separately, and we did not have this portal now, this learning portal now. But now there is a learning portal, so you can see the videos, and you can see the PDFs, and you can do the exercises. So each and every after you do one content, you have the exercises. And then after that, you have the try exercises or the challenges. So there is somewhere around 10 challenges, I guess. So you can do the challenges, and in that entire process, the portal will track you. I mean, basically they have the tracking capability. So what videos that you have completed, what challenges that you have did, and you have this you have this tracking capabilities on the portal, and then you also have the notes, so your own notes which you take out of as a part of your journey. You take those notes, and post you complete the entire syllabus, so post you complete the entire full 100%. So basically the portal gives you the bar, like
Hmm.
how much you have completed. So once you completed those bar, then you can go ahead and do the labs. So this is the structured way of doing it. So what I did was a little different. So what I did, this is again from my experience, my learning experience. I directly jumped onto the labs, and then I did all the labs. And while doing the lab, some content, for example, if I am getting stuck in SQL injection, and I come back to the content, I read the content, I read the video, I see the video, I see the content, I see the PDF, I try to do the exercises, then I kind of jump back. So this is a other way of doing things. The reason I did this, because I wanted to see what is the OPSEC way of thinking, what is their way. So it's a lot different from how you do penetration testing in your day-to-day job. So what is the OPSEC way of doing, because this kind of still have the CTF kind of a thing. So
Hmm.
they are trying to keep it as realistic as possible, but there's not a lot of places where you get realistic things. Some things it might work, some things might not, some might be more theoretical, so it's a lot easier to exploit it. So that whole point is what I did. So I basically jumped inside the lab. When I get stuck in some content, so I know that that's my weakest area, so I kind of jump back. But that is for, I could suggest this method is for people who want to experiment more. But
Hmm.
if someone who they want to go in a very structured approach, I would say this could be the right way. You see the videos, you see the PDF, you kind of understand the concept, and you try to link it, correlate it with the prerequisites that I have told before. You kind of correlate it, and you kind of understand the core concept of it. So for example, if you are kind of learning a LinPS, so LinPS is basically a privilege escalation script. So it kind of gives you an output. For
Hmm.
example, there is a SUID bit that has been enabled for a file. What is a SUID bit? What again? This is an example that I mean. What is a SUID bit? Why is it enabled? What is the security outcome of enabling it to a file which has been accessed to the public? So from this angle, if you start thinking, so this is where it gives you a right mindset. So
Agree.
how why this is actually happen, why this is actually happening, and how you can exploit it. So this is where your hacker brain, your brain starts working in reverse way. You kind of understand why this is happening, why this is all going. So this part is also makes another important thing. And second aspect, which I could say, this is again a trick from my side, is I when I'm actually running my exploits, or when I'm in the lab, I usually run Wireshark. So basically, I kind of run Wireshark on the side. I have the PCAPs. So in case I wanted to, in case I wanted to go on a deep packet level, so this could actually help. So I can actually see what is the type of exploit that is actually happening. So I'll give one example. So one of when I was doing a lab, I think one of a mission, I do not remember the name of the mission, and that mission actually had an SMB exploit. So
Hmm.
basically, you need to use an exploit to run that, to get exploit of that mission. But that was not the ideal way. So it was an unpatched mission. So that was the time when the exploit actually came. So when I run a Wireshark, this actually helps me understand what this exploit, what type of payload does it send, what is the packet that is actually happening, what is it actually going, and what is the response that you get from the mission, from the vulnerable mission. So this could give me a deep dive understanding of what is actually happening, what is the concept that is actually happening. For example, if you are running a responder, again coming to a perspective, if you're doing LLMR poisoning or anything, so if you're doing that, and then you kind of understand this in the Wireshark, this you kind of understand what is actually happening. So you can start. I mean, this is again a suggestion. This is not something which is recommended or needed, but for a deeper driving understanding, this actually helped me when I was doing it. This is what has actually helped me when I do not understand certain exploits. So I mean, I kind of know what is the structure, what is it actually doing, but what is actually happening behind the screen, I do not understand that. So this Wireshark kind of a capture, this actually helps me deep dive. When I fire this Python exploit, what does it send, what is the packet that is sent. and what is the response that I get. And sometimes the exploit doesn't work. So what type of response that I'm getting? I can diff these exploits. So sometimes the lab doesn't work. So you might have to go to the control panel and you have to revert those missions. So maybe because it is a shared mission and it's been used by multiple people, and you are given a specific set of subnets, and those specific set of subnets might be shared with other students. So this is always this is a very important thing, which I think a lot of people on OffSec forums as well as on Discord, they say this thing is that you always revert the mission. So before you attempt an exploit, you kind of revert the mission. And the reason you do that is because someone might have already exploited that mission, someone might have already fired something, they might have already exploited the state of the mission actually changes. So your exploit may or may not work. This happened to me somewhere to 20 to 25 missions where it does not work with somebody has already fired that exploit on that mission. So you always have to revert it. So understanding this root cause why it was not working, this Wireshark capture actually helped me in that aspect. So again, this is a recommendation from my side. If people want to have a deep dive understanding, they want to get into a deep dive thing why things are not working, and then this could be a right thing. And the another aspect when I say to lab is tunneling. So now tunneling has been given a full-fledged focus. So they want to go from a normal penetration testing to a person who has a little advisory. I mean, it's a kind of an advanced advisory where you kind of jump the subnets, you kind of reach a mission that is behind the firewall. It's not actually accessible to you. And this is where the tunneling is very, very important. And as I said, these are 4 subnets. So admin subnets and development subnets, they are reachable only via tunneling. So you need to understand. So you need to take missions. So I'll give a advice which without spoiling the labs. So there might be certain missions which you might feel it is just a normal mission. You exploit, you get the root, but they might have the point of tunneling to the behind to the other subnets. So for example, some of the missions in the IT subnet might be linked to a development subnet or might be linked to an administrator subnet. So taking these notes, and you kind of see the secrets or you kind of see the juicy information there, and you have to see the interfaces there. So you have to see what and all interfaces that is there. Is it just having the IT subnet interface, or it is having another interface? So then from there, that's where you do the enumeration. That's where you do either use chisel or you use proxy chains to do the scanning. So this tunneling part plays a very important role, and this also plays a very important role on the AD subnet also. So when you're attacking AD missions, so you might compromise one client and the other client might not be reachable. So you might need to tunnel it, or you might need to tunnel it to reach the domain controller. So in that way, you might not have a direct path. So for example, if you're learning Bloodhound and it did not give you a direct path, but it gives you an indirect path via another client, and that client might be inside another subnet which you cannot directly access from your student mission or from your lab mission. And this is where a concept of tunneling, reverse tunneling, needs to be there, and they need people needs to understand what is actually happening. And they need to use tools like Chisel, proxy chain, and how to scan via proxy chain. So that configuring those things will take some time. So it is very important that you understand what is actually happening. How do you configure when you configure proxy chains? How does it actually work? How does a SOC proxy work? So these important concepts are very important. I mean, when you really need to compromise these missions. And tunneling is needed. People should not switch tunneling missions. So they need to do these tunneling missions. So because you will get one way or the other in the exam, you will get a tunneling mission. So it is a lot better that people really understand this concept of tunneling.
That's great. That's great. So this is the last question. If I say high level summary,
Yeah.
Santhosh, high level summary, what are the list of concept you must know while preparing for this exam?
Okay. So high level summary could be you understand the basic web exploitation, web application techniques. So we'll start from the first. So you understand the initial reconnaissance. So how do you do reconnaissance? For example, how do you do port scan? How do
Hmm.
you run? How do you? There are certain places where one tool might not work. So what are the when you're doing for one thing, when you're doing port scanning, let's say when you take port scanning, how do you use multiple tools? Why does a place where nmap doesn't work, mask can works? So this concept, or you using this concept, needs to be very important. So initial reconnaissance. Then you have the web application exploitation technique. So you
Hmm.
kind of understand all the basic. You do not need to go very advanced techniques, but you need to know very basic techniques of basic web exploitation techniques. And the third thing could be to understand the CVEs. So what and all the ready-made CVEs is there? How do you read those CVEs? How do you find public exploits on those CVEs? And how do you read and interpret those CVEs? And how do you run those exploits? So this part is very important. And
Okay.
the fourth thing is you need to understand of certain CMS, content management systems. So for example, you might have machines from WordPress, Joomla, whatever. You will have certain exploits from those content management systems. So you need to understand these content management systems.
Hmm.
That part is important. And coming, once you have exploited the initial technique, you have got the shell. And so when you say shell, it is always remote code execution. So you have these remote code executions. So once you have these remote code executions, then you need to understand enumeration as a normal user. So how do you enumerate as a normal user? LinPS, WinPS, or whatever these set of tools that is happening. So basically OS level functionality. So as I said, given from an example of su bit. So why is this bit has been set? So what is su bit? So those kind of OS level information. So basically OS level stuff. And then how do you interpret the results from these set of tools? So for example, you run linps and it gives you three vectors, but only one will work, the other two doesn't work. So why does it these two doesn't work? So you need to understand how these privilege escalation vectors. So this could be a right made to check back with Hacktricks. So Hacktricks they have documented everything. This what and all the exploits that you privilege escalation exploits that you get, or
Hmm.
privilege escalation this thing. So those things are documented there. So you have to reference back with your prerequisites. You have to see the Hacktricks, and you have to see what is actually happening, and how you can exploit it, and why this is actually happening. So the question of why is very, very important to you, because you understand that backend concept. So once you have that understanding of the concept, you will have to have a similar mindset of in the exam. And coming back to the exam, it is 23 hours and 45 minutes, and you have another 24 hours for reporting,
Hmm.
and you have 5 different set of targets, which buffer overflow may or may not be part of. So in the whole, the entire syllabus has been included. And if you can understand this concept, you can use that mentality to attack these exams. So you can have you can use that to attack these missions there in the exam. And one advice that I could give as a high level advice is that whenever you are trying to attempt a mission, you try to program it. You try to keep 3 hours. You try to keep the timer. So I need to exploit this mission in 3 hours.
Hmm.
So you need to take that 3 hours and you need to attempt it. So this 3 hours, you can take 10 minutes or 15 minutes break in the between. But the ultimate goal is that within 3 hours, you kind of compromise that mission. So this way, you will have that target practice of completing that entire exam in 24 hours and not lose out, because panic really strips you off, because that is what actually happens to me. Like in my exam, 15 hours, I did not get even a single shell. So
Stressed out.
and yeah, I stressed out, and I thought I'm gonna fail. So I was actually preparing my amount also. How much do I spend for for re-exam? And then in the next 5 hours, I kind of slept for 1 hour. I kind of
Hmm.
like on the 14th hour, I slept for 1 hour, and
Hmm.
then I woke up, and I had a coffee, and then this is where I started thinking in a very different way. And within the next 3 hours, I got shell for I had root access for
Wow.
three missions. And this is how tides actually change in the exam. So once you start thinking very differently, and there might be rabbit holes, so you fall on a rabbit hole, you need to figure out if it's a rabbit hole or it's a normal one. So this mindset is what is actually needed, and it is a lot better that we develop this mindset during the OSCP preparation itself, because
And
there will be a lot of rabbit holes on the labs. And so there are two places which I would ask for help, or I should ask for hints. So one is the offensive security forums, and you cannot ask direct hints there. You can only subtly ask hints there. And now it is Discord. So offensive security, they have their own Pen 200 Discord. So you go to the Discord channel and you can ask for help. And there are, I think by default they give 10 missions. They give hints nowadays. So you can check those hints. You can use the Discord bot to ask for hints. But there are also people there, and there are also mods there to help you, support you. And in case you get stuck, it's always to go with reverting the mission. So reverting the mission, or if it still doesn't work, then you can reach out to the or OPSEC support, because that happens a lot of time where your missions doesn't work. So yeah, so that's what I could say.
that's a very good insight you have shared, Santosh, on this. Thank you so much. Like, this is something which is very detailed insight what you had on this particular process that you have shared with us. One thing I want to ask you here is, the last point is, do you have any suggestion for the reference guide? Someone, uh, um, do you have any last point reference, any books you would like to recommend them before going for this OSCP and all that?
So when I say books, I read the web application Hackers Handbook. So that is one of the book that I read during my exam.
Hmm.
But other than this, I would suggest the labs and the hack the box could
Hmm.
be sufficient. So again, you do not want to overkill yourself. You do not want to do yourself, but it is a lot better that you do these two. And
Hmm.
this is what. And but for web application, I still had trouble understanding. I mean, that was somewhere just 2 years into my career, and I am not as certain as what I am right now. So yeah, so that point is, I read the web application Hackers Handbook, and I got the one physical copy itself. So I read that book, and that's where I kind of understood the web application concept. That's where I was going wrong. So I did all that, and then I started. There is also one more method, is that you kind of start doing different methods. So you kind of think, for example, if this is a way, if A is the way, and you take one exploit and you kind of exploit it. So you have to relook that mission if you have time. So you need to relook that mission. Is there any other way possible other than unintended way? There is intended way and there is
Hmm.
unintended way. If
Hmm.
there is any unintended way, there are some missions there in the lab which gives you an unintended intended way of getting the route. So if you had to look in that perspective, so it kind of changes you. I mean, it changes your mindset, like how you can actually approach the problem. So I would say that could be the right method.
Thanks, Santosh, for this particular great insight that you have shared. And I'm sure this video will definitely change the perspective about people who are preparing for this exam. Taking out the time in a weekend is a big thing, Santosh, especially when you're having a family commitment. And I truly appreciate your hard work that you have put in on this content. My simple question is, can I share your LinkedIn profile in the YouTube description box? So if someone want to reach out to you, they can directly reach out to you in LinkedIn.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So Santosh, I really thank you for your insight that you have shared, and best wishes for your future uh, things what you're doing. And we'll keep in touch. And do let me know, team. Shall I disturb again Santosh for another topic? I can request him. He will come. That's for sure. That's I really that kind of a relation I maintain with this guy. So do let me know what is the next video you want me to make on pen testing offensive security with Santosh, and I will try to put him in this session again on this gunpoint, because for us camera is a gunpoint.
Sure, absolutely, Prabha. And I want people to try harder. So yeah, so I'll always been there to support the gladiator community.
Thank you, Santosh, and really, 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 this video was great insight, and I was just listening this like a viewer, the one who being to prepare for the exam, and at think I got 99.5% clarity, and it's all about the 1% I have to execute my action points to clear this exam. So overall is, if you talk about the dedications and all that, what should be the ideal journey of this OSCP? 6 months, 3 months, 1 year, what exactly?
So I would suggest 4 months.
Four
So
months, okay.
it's
5 hours a
one
day,
month.
and
Yeah,
weekend is
five
eight
hours a
hours.
day and 3 months for the lab. But
Okay.
if you really put 5 hours a day, you can complete the lab in 60 days. That's what I did. So I was able to complete in 60 days.
Hmm.
And it is a lot better that you have a buddy who's actually doing OSCP, or who can actually track the progress. So you do not share that with them, but you have a buddy with you and who's also doing the OSCP,
Hmm.
or who have already did the OSCP. They can be a guidance or a mentor, and you can track the progress with them, and you
Hmm.
can tell them, because this kind of gives you, it's more of an hacker mindset. It's like
Hmm.
how you play CTF, you work as a team. So it's a lot better that you work as a team, and you do not share these things, or you do not spoil the lab, so you maintain the ethics of offensive security. But it's always that you have a study buddy. I mean, that's what people do in Discord. That's what people have been doing in forums. So they kind of create the study group, or they can kind of create the study group, and that's where they track the progress. And it's all about how much you have the mindset, and how much you have the interest.
Hmm.
So it is the more you start looking, or more you start thinking from an attacker perspective, and that is where you will get far more interested onto the lab. And the feeling that you get after you compromise that mission is, that's not something I would say. I was always get elated that when something like that happens. And when I completed the lab in 60 days, it was like, damn
And we
man,
should
this is.
appreciate, we should also appreciate our small achievement, because that
Yes.
motivate you. You will not get
Yeah,
burnout.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the motivation. It's what
Hmm.
actually keep people going. It's what kept me going. So I think people should not let that motivation die. So when I and one of my colleague, we were doing at the same time, and we were discussing on the work, that how many missions that I cracked. I said I did 40, and he said I did 35. And
Hmm.
we'll try. We had a target that we need to complete, and
Wow.
in the end we both completed it at the same time. So this type of things is actually helps. So instead of just doing monotonous reading, it is always to have it's always to have a person doing it.
That's
And
good.
I would suggest, if people are registering for OSCP, they need to dedicate 4 months in the year. So
Hmm.
I would say that is what I mean. You can dedicate 5 days a day, and you can do more on the weekends depending upon how much you want to do.
Hmm.
But if you dedicate 4 months with the entire preparation, you can go from 0 to 100 within 4 months, and you can get your OSCP.
That's great.
And yeah, so but that dedication is something is what far more important. So I mean, you might have your own personal thing going on, you might have your work going on, but it's always dedicated. At least you spend 4 hours a day. No matter how much hard day you are, you spend 4 hours a day. So I was in the consulting career when I did. So I come back from office. That was not COVID time. This was pre-COVID time. I come back to office from 9 o'clock, and then I sit from 10 o'clock to night 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. So that I slept at 3, and I woke up again at. You kind of compromise a little bit on the exam, but the results that you get out of this thing is really worth it.
I
So
think
that's what.
temperament also matter.
Yeah.
Hmm. That's a great insight, Santosh, and thank you so much. And we'll looking forward for more sessions from you.
Sure, Prab. Absolutely.
So this is all from our side, and thanks Santosh for sharing a great insight on how to prepare for OSCP exam. Do let us know in a comment box what is the next video you want from us on the offensive security. If you're new to the channel, do subscribe to the YouTube channel and click on the bell icon to make sure you should not miss the future videos with the similar topic. Thank you so much. Good day. Bye.